This is Chris Barnes, host of Supply Chain Now Radio, sponsored by Apex Atlanta and Talent Stream, coming to you from hashtag Supply Chain City, Atlanta, Georgia. Supply Chain Now Radio spotlights the best in all things supply chain, the people, the companies, the technologies, the best practices, and the critical issues of the day. In today's Profiles in Supply Chain Leadership, I'm with Antonio Davis, founder and CEO of AI Logistics Group. Antonio, thanks for investing time with Supply Chain Now Radio today.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you were on a recent episode we had with a panel discussion, and that's when I learned about your new company and became intrigued in really learning more about it, AI Logistics. This was a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, what got you involved in starting a logistics company?
Well, I think it was a few things. The most important thing, though, is, just this constant search of finding that next passion. I talk to a lot of guys who are retired athletes in all different sports, and we're seemingly trying to find this next passion. And about a year and a half ago, I was invited to a session on transportation and logistics by NMTA. I met Kevin Reed, and it intrigued me from a standpoint that this was such a big business, but it made simple sense that everything that we have, every good that we have, has to be transported from one place to the other. So I saw a ton of opportunities to kind of get in and make my niche. That next year and a half, I spent time down at NMTA. I spent time under Kevin Reed trying to understand, trying to learn, because I wanted to take this opportunity back to my colleagues and my brothers and tell them about all of the different things that you can get involved in from an investment standpoint, from running your own brokerage to owning some trucks. But the first thing we have to do as men is we have to educate ourselves on the process, on the business, and that's kind of what I felt like I was doing.
Yeah, Antonio, thank you for mentioning NMTA. That's National Minority Trucking Association. We have actually had Kevin Reed on another podcast, so he is providing a good service to not only Atlanta but the whole logistics community.
Yes.
What did you do with them? Did you take a class, or how did you learn?
Yeah, I took the class. It was really on starting your own trucking company from A to Z, from a leadership standpoint, all the way down to every single thing you were going to need to kind of know about running your trucking business. And then I got into thinking about more of the brokerage side. So once I kind of figured out where I wanted to be, what space I wanted to be in, I sat down with Kevin and some folks over there, and we developed a plan to start AI Logistics. It was a very detailed plan from how you get the EIN number, starting your own company, or you go start off as an LLC, as a corporation. I mean, it takes you through every single step. But what I learned, not just about transportation but about business in general, is building that foundation is so important. You want to go in looking like you know what you're talking about, being very professional about what you're doing, just like I was in basketball. I spent a ton of hours to become a professional, and now I'm trying to do the same thing in this arena, is spend that time understanding so that one day I can be a pro at this and understand how to bring other guys in and create some opportunities.
Yeah, you seem to be involved. I mean, you were the past or current president of the NBA Players Association.
Yes.
As well.
Mm-hmm.
So you seem to like to get out and do more than just the sport itself.
Yeah, early in my career, it was huge to not only just be playing the game of basketball, but understand the game was a multi-billion-dollar business. And here we are 20 years later, and it is a huge business. And the fact that I've been on negotiating committees, I've been on several boards, on understanding the rules in the business of basketball, I think that approach has really served me well. So here I am, after I'm playing, kind of jumping back into some of those same roles. And the thing that I love about this now is I don't consider myself as an employee. If we compare the two situations, I am now a franchise owner. I can come in now, run my own business in this space, and continue to expand and grow and do different things. And that really intrigues me, not just for myself, but a lot of guys that I know. And I've been kind of preaching, hey, if we really want to do something for our communities, we create opportunities, we create then hope, and we give people something to look forward to. And with everything that we have going on now, and I consider myself a partner with NMTA, with everything that we have going on right now, we can basically take someone off the street who's ready to go, who want to learn business, and teach them all the way through to actually getting their own trucks and running their own business. And to me, that's the most intriguing part. That's the part that I get fired up about, is creating those opportunities for people to come into this space and take advantage of this huge opportunity.
And I was doing some research. You also won a community award. What was it, the Sears Community Service Award in 2000? I know it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But, so you seem to just have that kind of passion for community and getting involved. I don't know.
You know, that award came. I was up in Toronto. Usually when guys play for the Toronto Raptors at that time, nobody bought a home. Nobody settled in Toronto. I came up there with my family. We settled into a small community. And the one thing I realized was, you know, Toronto, Canada was just like, you know, Chicago, Illinois, or just like some of these other places. And I did a couple things with taking guns off the street. And there's no crime compared to a major city like a Detroit or a Chicago or Oakland. But even that little thing was standing up for something in my community. My kids went to school in those communities. So to me, it was a part of who I am. And that shows fans that you're not just here taking, you're willing to give something too. And I think that's why the Raptors ended up signing me for another 5 years, is because they wanted somebody to not just be there taking, but embrace their community, embrace what they were trying to build up in Toronto.
And that's interesting. It almost sounds like you had a career plan. I mean, you know, executives need to be better at what they do, and you got a contract extension, maybe not by your skills, but maybe just by being more of a community-minded person. That's neat.
You know, it feels really good too. You know, when you see all those people come to the games and you understand the sacrifice of time, money, and energy for, say, a family of 4 to come to a basketball game, you have to appreciate that somehow. Because that family made that sacrifice to come to that game, I am able to play a game that I love and get paid well to do it. And then I should take some of that money and put it back into my community. Take some of my time and put it back into my community. And I've been telling guys that ever since. And we don't see enough of that. We don't see enough guys in business who think that way. And there are a ton. There are a ton of guys who own businesses that go back to their hometowns, and they employ those people that help them get to where they are. And I see this transportation opportunity as just that.
So let's back up the clock a little bit. I'm fascinated by career projections,
Right?
And you kind of obviously had a special skill that you could leverage, but you also studied computer science in college. So, I mean,
yeah, that's one of those things where you have this big ambition. You get into college, you have practice, you have all this other stuff, and then you have all these labs and stuff you have to do. But what I found about that is it challenged me to kind of think outside the box. It challenged me to be very disciplined in what I was doing, and it challenged me to want to know more. At that particular time, you know, in the early 90s, late 80s, computers were just starting to be talked about. They weren't something we were really using. So I felt like at one time or another, you're going to have to understand what this new technology is that people keep talking about, the computer. So I wanted to get behind the science of it. And it was a great experience. I didn't end up getting my major in computer science, but I tied that computer science with business, and I ended up doing more leadership stuff because I understood like the connection of the two. And here we are now. I am now, run this logistics company with all of this technology that's needed to make it work, and then bringing the two together to hopefully create opportunities for other people.
So Antonio, did you when you went to college, did you expect to be an NBA player? Was that
you know?
Or did you know you didn't know you were that good?
No. Funny story is growing up in Oakland, California, I think you had two options. you either come a part of your environment or you get out of your environment and come back and give to your environment. And I always said that I just wanted to go off to college. I knew if I was to get away from Oakland, go off to college, get an education, then I can bring that value back to my community. Never once thinking about basketball. A lot of basketball players say, man, I had this dream one day of playing in the NBA. I never had that dream. I actually wanted to run in the Olympics. I wanted to run the 110-meter hurdles at that time. There was Ronaldo, Nehemiah,
Edmund
and a
Moses.
lot of great,
That's right.
There were
Tall
a lot
guy.
of guys that
Sure.
were, you see them run so gracefully, and they
Mhm.
were so good at it, and they were some of the best. That's what I wanted to be, not play basketball. Now, obviously, in high school, when you grow 4 to 6 inches, you go from 6'3", 6'4" to 6'7", 6'8", things start to change. I got long. I couldn't get them legs over the hurdles. I was banging up my knees. I was like, there's something else that I have to do with this height. And somebody gave me a ball one day, and I never put it down.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Again, I'm still trying to figure out why a successful person like already would get into the logistics field, but having the vision to take computer science, and I'm not going to say how many years ago, but
right.
a long time ago, before the internet, perhaps. But
Yes.
no, that's fascinating. So I guess it has a little bit to do with your visionary. Did you have a mentor? It sounds like you're pretty well established in terms of your beliefs and what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I have a few. When it comes to business in general, I always call on a few successful people that have started businesses, sold businesses. So I have a team of about 3 or 4 people that I call higher ups. I call them that to me, when I walk in that room, I know I'm not the smartest guy in that room, and that's value to me. I always want to surround myself with people that have failed and are now successful, because to me that's where you get the most valuable lessons. And then right now, having a guy like Kevin Reed, who's kind of been through everything from A to Z, who's had success and all that, and then we're like minds. It's all about creating that opportunity, because if I'm successful, then that means there's a team of people under me, hopefully, that are really successful also, and I've shown them how to go out and do other things where they can get people under them to make them successful, and it kind of, it goes on and on. I think that's the vision that he has. It's the vision that I have. I think it's the vision that NBTA has, and I think that's why we've partnered, and we're moving forward into 2019 with a bunch of awesome things that are going to be coming up.
And again, I'm still trying to get this how logistics got in your blood, Antonio. So you mentioned you're from Oakland, and I know I just finished a podcast where they talk about the Port of Oakland being very instrumental in developing containerization, especially as it related to the Vietnam War. So did you have experience with the ports or anything? Or
they were always there, and it's so funny. Now that I think about it, as a kid, we had trains run through our community because there were train tracks, and right beside my grandmother's house, a train used to come 2-3 times a day. And I'd literally be on my bike holding on to that train riding down the street. So one day this year, actually, I was back home, and my brother and I were talking, and we were down by one of the piers, and I looked up, and I saw these big cranes, and I saw these containers. And I looked at my brother, and I was like, that's what you do, right? He was like, yeah. And we sat there kind of looking at each other a little bit, and I was like, wow. So all that stuff comes over on a ship. It's parked there at that pier. That big crane grabs that container. They line them up in rows. They put them on trucks. The trucks have to go somewhere and drop them off to be dispersed. Like, all of this whole thing was just flashed in front of my eyes to all the way where I am now. And it was such a kind of a freaky moment, but it was a moment that I realized this isn't as complicated as it looks. Now, when you get under the surface of making that happen, then you understand why it's so valuable. Because, I mean, now, like he was telling me, they have containers where if you open them, and I'm a customer in China, and my container gets to Oakland, and it's opened without my knowledge, I receive a notification that my container was open. That's logistics. That's how important it is. So as a broker, I have to be able to do kind of that same thing. If you have a load that's trying to get from A to B, I want you to know where it is. It's in good condition. Don't worry about it. It's going to get from A to B. You're going to know the whole time. So I was very intrigued when I had that aha moment with my brother, to meeting Kevin Reed, to now where, creating opportunities, building a huge business. All of that, it feels like basketball all over again. Me learning something new, putting forth the hours, and being successful.
And it sounds like you're making an investment in your knowledge to hopefully become a better business leader. Good for you.
Thank
so
you.
How did you get to Atlanta? And your company's based in Atlanta?
Yeah,
is that correct?
Company's based in Atlanta. When I decided to retire 10, 12 years ago, I was in Chicago. One, to me, I thought was a beautiful April, and it started to snow. Now, I'm from California. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't want to see no snow after February, March.
Sure.
Everything needs to be heating up, and the trees need to be, the flowers need to be blossoming. So we usually would come down to Atlanta because my wife had friends, and I had a couple friends down here, so we would come every summer. And it was one of the places that we looked into moving that was warm, that had a lot of opportunities for our kids and for ourselves. And next thing you know, we had a big U-Haul truck packing our stuff up, and we were headed south. So ever since then, it's been great. The family's been great. The kids have prospered, and here I am now having the opportunity to jump back into something that I can attach to and have that same kind of passion about.
Well, as an Metro Atlanta resident myself and a taxpayer, I appreciate what you're doing with your company, trying to bring business and bring hopefully employment here. Yes. In closing, anything else you want to tell us how we can get in touch with your company, what they can do?
Yeah, we have a website that we're constantly revamping because there's so much that we're learning. Our capabilities are growing. AIlogisticsgroup.com is where you can find us. We're adding to all the things that we can do and provide information there. Being a partner with NMTA has just been incredible. So you can always, search their website and go there. And then the other thing is, I have started and built and found this company around providing opportunity for those small minority carriers. I feel that as I learn about this business, there's this disconnect between being a small carrier and regardless, minority, woman, veteran-owned, whomever, small carrier having this opportunity that was going to kind of make life easier. If there's dedicated freight there, if there's opportunity there, I know that with who I am and what I am, there may be an opportunity for me to get through some of those doors that the normal person couldn't get through. So I'd like to use that. I'd like to go to some of these big customers, these big corporations where I know they need that spend, and present to them, hey, I have a huge gathering of small minority companies that are very, very good. We vetted them. We know that they're very good. We've used them before. Give us an opportunity to win your business with our customer service, with our technology, with our passion about what we're doing. And that's kind of going to be my mission for 2019. I'm going to be busting open doors and provide opportunity, and we're going to make some real noise and hopefully make Atlanta proud.
Great. Well, that's exciting. Makes me want to go out and buy a truck.
Slow down now. We got to educate you on that, buddy.
Education first. Well, Antonio, thanks again for sharing with us today, and I appreciate your support of the Atlanta supply chain community.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Be sure to check out past sessions on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or our site at supplychainnowradio.com. This is Chris Barnes, host of Supply Chain Now Radio, spotlighting the best in all things supply chain, the people, the companies, the technologies, the best practices, and the critical issues of the day. Thanks for learning.